A warm welcome to Business Daily right here on Trust Television. I am Yusuf Akogu. Organization of Petroleum Exporting Country OPEC is planning to cut another crude oil production. Of course, the aim is to drive up the price, and Nigeria is expected to cut at least 20% of its production supply to OPEC. It means that Nigeria may now be start supplying about 1.38 million barrels per day to OPEC. That is to start from January to December 2024. Welcome again to Business Daily. We give you our top business stories. Interesting development there in the world of business. So don't also forget that Nigeria are still groaning from the effects of subsidy removal that has pushed up the price of petroleum products in Nigeria to over 500 naira. Cost of transportation is very high. The cost of food are also gradually going up. This effect is what Nigeria are actually faced with right now. And of course, subsidy is indeed an issue that has been on the front burner for a very, very long time. Many Nigerians are of the consensus that subsidy must go this time. Whether the federal government has put up, play its own part in terms of putting the palliatives that is required to cushion the effect on the citizen is another ball game. And of course, the NLC and TUC are still at loggerhead with the federal government over the same issue. Then quickly we go back to the stock market now to give you updates about what transpired on the floor of the market on Friday. And of course, the market closed in the positive territory as it has been 0.02%. The market closed there. And of course, in terms of market cap, with the 30.4 trillion naira. And of course, the volume of trade for 55.76 million volume of shares, value at 6.117 billion in the deals worth 7,457 exchange hands among investors on Friday. Of course, in terms of gainers, on the gainers table, you have the like of Stanbic IBTC gaining 44 naira there on the day to close top there 10%. And of course, MRS is an oil and gas company, also gaining 49 naira 30 kobo to close there 9.92% positive. And of course, corn oil also gaining a huge number there, 69.90 naira there. It gained to 69 naira 90 kobo to close also positive at 9.73%. On the bottom side of the table, you have the loser side. You have the like of FTN Cocoa, which that lost 66 kobo there to close in the negative there 9.59%. And of course, UPDC also lost 1 naira and 2 kobo there to close downward 8.93%. And Shams PLC completing our top three losers, 41 kobo it lost, and of course down there 8.89%. And of course, when you look at the sectors in terms of sector performance, of course, NGS banking, realistically, obviously, one is not surprised that the banking sector is down 0.02%, and of course, the industrial sector is also down 0.06%. The consumer goods marginally up there 0.09%, and of course the oil and gas sector, a huge gain there it recorded. If you look at what MRS and of course corn oil did, they gained cumulatively over 100 naira. That has pushed up the sector to 2.15%, and of course the insurance sector also closing positive 0.38%. That is how the sector performed on the floor on Friday. And of course, in the rest of Africa, we look at what is happening in Johannesburg Stock Exchange down there in the southern part of Africa. The Alt share index way below 80,000 basis points, of course 77,126.06 there, and the market closed on Friday 1.77%. The index there remaining very, very strong there in that part of Africa. GSE in Ghana, our next door neighbor, has a strong index. They have remained hovering about over 2,000, 2,500 for a very, very long time. It's a very small market, but doing very well in the West Africa sub-region. Up there 0.17% as well. And of course in Kenya, in Nairobi, eastern part of Africa, the market, their index way below 200 or so, just above, marginally above 100, 103.69 basis point. And of course the index also doing good there, 0.83%. Kenya market is another market that has attracted investors from various parts of the world. Then we go to our stockbroker, Charles Fakroga, who joins me now via phone from Lagos. Good morning, Mr. Charles.
Good morning, Yusuf. Thank you for having me on your show.
It's good to hear from you.
Thank you.
Yes, tell us, how did the market close on Friday? We are seeing a positive, quite a whole lot of development going on. It seems that this government is one of the government that, the investors actually has confidence in.
Yes, thank you. You know, being a new government, there is a lot of expectation from the new government, and Nigerians are not too surprised about it. Yes, we saw last week how the market closed overall, gaining 5.37%. And that is at the backdrop of on Tuesday, after the inauguration speech, when we saw the opening 5.23% and of a volume of over 1 billion units of shares, valued at over 15 billion naira. That's what happened on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we also saw the market in the positive note. Thursday, and of course, like you have said, on a Friday, the market also was up by 0.02%. Now, the all share index, which measures the performance of the market, as at Friday, closed at over 55,000. So this development shows that yes, the market is going to be positive. At the same time, there are some numbers that are coming to the market, usually from the banking sector. All that made the market to close in the bullish trend. But I want to correct something. On Tuesday, that the market went up to as high as over 5%, and investors are saying a circuit breaker was not triggered. The circuit breaker could not be activated because by the time the market was 5%, it was already after 1:45 p.m. There is a rule in the market that you can only trigger circuit breaker when the all share index gets to 5% and above between the hours of 10:15 in the morning and 1:45 in the afternoon. But we saw the market exceeding that 5% after that time. So it was above 5% by almost 2 p.m. and we just had only 30 minutes to close the market. That was why the circuit breaker was not activated. Investors need to be educated on that. Looking at the outlook for today, I can see that the market is looking downwards. Right now, as I speak to you, the market is 0.13% down. However, the oil and gas sector is showing some positive. It has already done 0.87%. And of course, like you have said, it's even because of MRS, etc., that have already gained almost 10% as I speak, as I trade. You know, looking for sectorial performances now, you will see that the consumer goods sector is also up. The NGX 30 is down. The NGX insurance is also down, while the banking sector is down. Looking at the laggard, the ones who are down right now as we speak, this is at about after 11. I can see on my what I call market view, looking at the trading that's going on now, UBA is down. I can also see ZF Bank is down. I can see Kerebu that has done 312 naira is down. I can also see Jais Bank is down. FBNH that brought their result on Friday, paying 50 kobo. Investors are not too satisfied. The price is also down. It's doing 13 naira 40 kobo. It has lost over 5%. So there is a whole lot going on, but I think the outlook, what I see the market will do, because it's still very late to even predict, but if the trend continues in MRS and eternal oil, I see the oil and gas taking the lead and making the market to close in the positive territory.
Charles,
over to you, Yusuf.
Interesting submission there from you. You have given us all the download that we actually need to know. The market doing so well, but as at the moment, just like you said, is in the negative territory. But again, in terms of sectorial performance, we see the oil and gas taking the lead at this point. And we hope that that trend will continue and, of course, push the market back into the green zone at the close of the market. Charles Fakroga, I must thank you for your time on Business Daily today.
Thank you, and tell your viewers to develop some healthy financial habits to keep safe.
Absolutely. Very soon we'll discuss that, and of course, kick about that as well.
Thank you.
Yes. So that is interesting development there from the capital market. And then we make a switch quickly to look at our next topic of discussion, which is the Nigerian Forex market. Quite a whole lot of development in that sector in the last couple of days. We have our guest. He's joining us via Zoom from Abuja here. Steve Nwachuku is a financial analyst and also an economist. Good morning, Mr. Steve.
Good morning, and thanks for having me.
Good to see you too. Mr. Steve, I understand you are a stockbroker. Can I quickly get your take on the current market performance before we go into our discussion?
Like you said, Charles have actually extensively give us a breakdown of what actually transpired in the market during the course of the week, and what is also ongoing as an intraday activity at the floor of Nigerian Stock Exchange, where you saw most of the oil company sector driving the day, the likes of the Mid-6 oil, the likes of the eternal oil, all edging up as a result of the inventories or the benefits they got from this very unshady or confusing price hike we witnessed a couple of days ago by NNPC, raising the pump price of petroleum price, or that is fuel, from somewhere around 195 to somewhere around 530, 540, 550, depending your location. So what has happened is that these major oil marketers actually had a lot of inventories, a lot of reserves, a lot of petroleum products in their depot. So as much as you have, that is as much as profit you've already made, notwithstanding the retailing, the time it takes you to retail most of those volumes of millions of liters of petroleum product that is in your custody. So investors is catching in that, because definitely their bottom line, that is the profit after tax, will actually see something positive, in the sense that they have actually made huge profits in this coming days. So investors at the floor of Nigerian Stock Exchange is trying to catch in there to actually take position before their second quarter or third quarter, and possibly their final full year result will be made available, which will reflect a lot of profits.
Interesting there. Let's quickly go to our topic for the day, Mr. Steve. The issue of Forex has been a very long, has been an issue, really. And during the inauguration, the president did say that he is going to work towards a unified exchange rate. Which direction should we go? The parallel market or the official exchange rate?
When you talk about unification of exchange rates, is a convergence point. So the question will be, what will be the converging point or the meeting point of these very two major exchange windows? Is it at somewhere around 600 or somewhere around 650 or somewhere around above 650? So definitely there will be a convergence point, which we don't know for now, which federal government will be looking at. But once you're talking about unification, you are talking about the major dominating exchange windows, which is the CBN I&E window, that is import and export window, and that of the parallel market, the one you say the malams in the street, the unofficial. So between this very exchange rate, which is the official is around 465, and the parallel market is somewhere around 770, 760 and thereabout. So there is a meeting point expected. But what we as analysts is looking at is not just the meeting point, is actually to take the major aspects decisions that which has to do with opening up our crude oil production so that we have more proceeds of forex, not just the convergence. Even if you have a convergence point at 700 or 750, it will still not solve the current financial or forex situation. You need as much as possible top up your production so that you can have more sales proceed from the sale of crude. That's the only way. That's the only way you can actually defend Naira and meet our balance of payments. So it's not just the unification or policy by moving the official rate to somewhere 600 or 650 or 700. No, it's a question of going fundamental, taking the right policy decisions to to increase your revenues, your forex revenues, by diversifying your economy and possibly also finding ways where you can have other external earnings beyond crude oil. We have agriculture there. Thank you.
Yeah, Mr. Steve, you did made mention about the CBN official rate. A lot of people are actually questioning the honesty of that rate as well. Recall last week there was actually a publication by Daily Trust reporting that, and of course the CBN came out to deny it, but again the next day another newspaper did corroborated what Daily Trust reported earlier. The issue of exchange rate being going for 630 naira to dollar at the official rate. Many importers and of course exporters have confirmed to some of these organizations that they did buy exchange rates at that rate. Do you think CBN is being economical with the truth?
I think it's neither here nor... Hello?
I'm with you. I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. It's neither here nor there in the sense that you could now say that CBN is not sincere in as much as you cannot also say they are lying or they are being truthful. CBN, as much as I know, is doing all it best to defend the Naira. And the crux of the matter is the unavailability of forex. We have total insufficient supply of forex to the system. You remember a couple of weeks ago, CBN did raise an alarm that NNPC is not remitting any forex or any dollar to the accounts in custody of Central Bank of Nigeria. So that is a huge problem. You know, when I say the fundamental thing is to up our forex inflow, the inflows of our forex is the major problem. That will determine if CBN is being truthful or not. Until we have a sufficient supply of forex that will meet the demand, the rising demand, because we continue to tag ourselves as a consuming nation. As much as we daily demand for forex, for medical travel trip, for payment of tuition fees, or for tourism, or for even the importation of these very goods, even the finished one or raw materials for the factories right down here to finish their product. So you cannot categorically say that CBN is being truthful or CBN is being saying the half truth. But the question is, we have a total insufficient supply of forex, and we have to manage it. So whether the importers and the manufacturers are getting the right volume of forex they needed is a question of opening up, CBN open up to tell us, yes, we have at a proceed of $1 billion and the demand outweighs, or we have a lesser demand for forex. So until CBN makes its books open to tell us actually what we have received from the sale of proceed, what we have also received from diaspora remittances to the Nigeria, and even other channels that Nigeria receive forex. So until we have such kind of books open, that is when we can be able to say, yes, CBN, you are telling us the truth, or you are giving us half truth.
Mr. Steve, let's get this now. We did talk about the shortage of forex. Who should we hold responsible at this point? Is it that some people are holding this money, or CBN is illegally giving it out unnoticed?
That's a very tricky question. Tricky in the sense that I think we are all accomplices. When I talked about we are a consuming nation, as much as we continue to demand for one foreign product or the other, we are also contributing in putting pressure on our forex, on our balance of payment. So we are all part of the problem, in the sense that as much as we demand for that tuition fee to send, we are now, our families, our big men, our uncles, they are now interested not to train our children right here in Nigeria. They're now interested in training them in overseas, and a lot of tuition fees are being paid, and they are being paid with the same scarce resources. Then on the side of the government is also not doing well, in the sense that we've had series of complaints or series of issues around oil theft. Remember that we have an OPEC quota of 1.8 million barrels per day, and we are underproducing crude oil. And the crude oil is a major source of the forest to meet up this very list of demands for the forest. So until we have a ramp production, at least to meet the OPEC quota. And unfortunately, you read on the news today that OPEC have cut our quota to somewhere around 1.3 million barrels per day. So it's also a disadvantage to us. We are not producing up to the OPEC quota. The last information from NNPC is around 1.2 or 1.1 million barrels per day. So we have a huge situations to face. So it takes a very decisive leader who will see these issues as they are, and headlong tackle them. Tackling them is by tackling issue of oil theft. If you can ramp up your production, at least to meet the OPEC quota, you have at least a sufficient forest to meet the local demand.
Absolutely, sufficient forest to meet local demand. Rather, Mr. Steve. It seems our focus is so much on crude oil. We are in Africa, and of course, we need to actually diversify our economy into the other sector where we can actually earn forex. They've been talking about going to production, industrialize and so many other things. Don't you think the over-reliance on crude oil is indeed part of the problem we are experiencing as a nation?
Of course, you remember in my intro, I did talk about or advise the government to do as much as possible to diversify the economy. We cannot continue to depend on crude oil to finance our physical programs or physical projects. We have to look inwards, see ways where we can diversify the economy and have multiple sources of revenues to augment the crude oil. Yes, we need the crude oil. Yes, we need to maximize and be pro-efficiency and prudent in management of the little proceed we are getting or the much proceed we are getting from the sales of the crude oil. So, and in as much as we are having such challenges, we still need to look inwards and actually diversify the economy so that we can have other sources that can actually raise revenue for us. We have multiple of them. The sectors that government should actually look into and increase investment so that we have a very multiple sources of raising revenue to actually fund the fiscal projects of government. So we need to diversify. We need to diversify in agriculture. Agriculture is quite good to raise revenue. Even the aspect of the export of the agricultural products, so that we can actually earn more for us, so that we can be able, CBN can be able to defend the naira.
Absolutely. Steve Nwachukwu, economist and financial analyst, I must thank you for your time on Business Daily today.
Thanks for having me once again.
Now, and with that, it's a wrap on the show. I am Yusuf Akogu. Join us tomorrow for more.